Hello again, and welcome to another video. In this one, we will be talking about quotas. Now, there are essentially two ways to regulate, to restrict rather, international trade. Those would be tariffs. You can import whatever you like, as long as you pay a fee at the border, and the quota, which explicitly states that you are not allowed to import more than a certain quantity. So, in this graph, I will actually show you that the impact of a quota is essentially similar, if not the same, as the impact of a tariff. So we have our demand, and we have our domestic supply, and we have this no trade equilibrium here. And then, of course, for us to be an importer of a good, the world price has to be lower than the domestic price. Okay? So, in a free trade equilibrium, this much would have been imported. And let's say that just for the sake of argument, our quota is set at roughly 1/2 of what we would have imported under the free trade regime. So, what is my supply with the quota? Well, up till here, just my domestic supply. From this point forward, it's whatever I produce domestically plus the quota. Again, back in the time of travel, pre-COVID, what is my supply of Scotch whiskey? It's whatever I buy locally plus my duty-free allowance. So here we go. Here we have our supply plus quota. Where is our new equilibrium? Right here. This is my new equilibrium price. Well, obviously, this will be my equilibrium quantity. Okay. So, let's shade the surpluses. Of course, compared to the free trade equilibrium, consumers are worse off. So this is my consumer surplus. Producers are better off because now, instead of dealing with the world price, which is this green line, they deal with the equilibrium price, which is much higher than the world price. So that is again a way to boost the surplus of domestic producers. So this is PS for producer surplus. Now, these two triangles right here, these are my deadweight losses. I shouldn't shade them, I should rather do like this. Now, an interesting question is, who gets this rectangle? In case of a tariff, this rectangle was the tariff revenue. The government essentially did that. But here, remember, you do not actually pay anything. It's just a quantity restriction. It's a quota. You don't have to pay anything at the border. So who would get it? The answer is the importer will. Whichever firm is importing this good gets this. So essentially, if I am facing a quota of coffee importation in New Zealand, so my equilibrium price in New Zealand will be higher than the world price. So I go to Brazil or Colombia or Indonesia or whatever other country produces coffee. I buy that coffee at the world price. I come to New Zealand. I sell it at this higher equilibrium price, and I pocket the difference. So the only difference between a tariff and a quota, from at least the point of view of economic efficiency, is who gets this rectangle. Well, you might rightly ask, well, why on earth would the government give it up to an importer? Well, there are a couple of reasons why this could be the case. The one that comes to mind is, let's say that you need a license to import coffee into New Zealand. And that license allows you to fulfill this quota. So, and let's say that these importers' profit is $80 million. So having this license will result in you pocketing a profit of $80 million. And let's say that the government puts this license up for an auction. Take a wild guess, what price will this license sell for? Pretty darn close to $80 million. So yes, this importer will become a monopolist, but in a strange way, the market to become a monopolist is actually competitive. I hope this makes sense. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in another video.